When Keanu Reeves walks onto the set of The Jay Carter Show, the energy is light, a fizzy hum of excitement that crackles through the Los Angeles studio like the first spark of a 4th of July firecracker. It's July 3rd, 2025, and the air buzzes with patriotic fervor. Red, white, and blue lights dance across the stage, casting a festive glow over a packed audience decked out in star-spangled gear, their laughter and chatter a warm prelude to the holiday weekend. They're here for charm, for laughs, maybe a few behind-the-scenes tales from Hollywood's glitzy underbelly. Stories of motorcycle stunts or late-night shoots on blockbuster sets. And Jay Carter, the host, he's ready to guide the night with his usual blend of sharp wit and big heart. A former basketball player turned comedian, Jay's got that rugged charisma. Think faded jerseys and a smirk that's weathered its share of hard fouls. He strides out as the house band's funky riff fades, cue cards in hand, his eyes glinting with mischief. "Tonight we're talking comebacks," he declares, voice booming over the mic. "Because who doesn't love a redemption story, right? Especially with fireworks lighting up the sky tomorrow." The crowd erupts, a wave of cheers and whistles that bounces off the studio's high ceilings. Jay's in his element, pacing the stage with the loose swagger of a point guard running the court. The theme music, a brassy, patriotic twist on a classic groove, dies down, and he flashes that iconic half grin, the one that says he's about to drop a zinger. "Y'all ready for some star power, or you just here for the free hot dogs?" he quips, tossing a wink at the front row. Laughter spills out, warm and easy, as the audience settles into their seats, phones at the ready. Jay pauses, letting the moment breathe, then turns to the wing with a flourish. "Ladies and gentlemen, he's Hollywood's quiet king of cool, the guy who makes kindness look like a superpower. Give it up for Keanu Reeves." The applause hits like a tidal wave, a deafening roar that shakes the rafters. Keanu steps into the spotlight, unhurried, his silhouette cutting through the haze of stage lights. He's dressed in his signature understated style, dark jeans that fit just right, a black shirt worn soft at the edges, and a plain jacket that shrugs off any hint of Tinseltown flash. No bling, no bravado, just him. He waves shyly, a quick flick of his hand, his soft smile barely masking the unease in his eyes, as he ducks his head under the weight of the crowd's adoration. They don't care about his discomfort. They're on their feet, hollering his name like he's just sunk a game-winning shot. Jay meets him center stage, clapping a hand on Keanu's shoulder with a grin that's half tease, half awe. "Man, you stroll in here like you're picking up a coffee and they're acting like it's the Super Bowl." Keanu chuckles, a low rumble that's half laugh, half sigh, and shrugs as he sinks into the leather chair across from Jay's desk. "I'm just a guy, Jay," he says, his voice quiet but steady, trying to keep it together. The audience laps it up, a chorus of ahs rippling through the seats as they settle back, eager for more. Jay flops into his chair, tossing his cue cards onto the desk with a playful groan. "A guy," he says. "Sure, a guy who's got the internet calling him the last decent soul in Hollywood. I mean, subway seats, stunt crews. You're out here rewriting the playbook on fame, my friend." The banter kicks off, smooth and easy, a back and forth of light jabs and Keanu's gentle deflections. Jay leans in, elbows on the desk, his eyes sharp with that ex-athlete edge. "So, Keanu, tell me, how's a dude like you? Big movies, big bikes. Stay so chill. What's the secret sauce?" Keanu tilts his head, running a hand through his dark hair, and offers a half smile. "No secret, man, just trying to do right by people, that's all." The crowd coos again, a wave of affection that makes him shift in his seat, cheeks tinged pink. Jay's about to lob another quip when the stage manager signals a commercial break. The lights dim slightly, the audience hums with chatter, and Jay grabs a pen, doodling absent-mindedly on his cue cards, a small, tight spiral, looping in on itself like a hypnotic little galaxy. He doesn't notice Keanu's eyes snag on it, doesn't catch the flicker of recognition that crosses the actor's face, a quiet ripple of something deeper stirring beneath his calm exterior. The break ends. The lights flare back to life, and Jay tosses the pen aside, oblivious to the spiral now staring up from the card. All right, we're back with Keanu Reeves, the man who proves nice guys don't finish last, he announces, and the crowd cheers again, a patriotic swell that feels like a prelude to tomorrow's fireworks. But as Keanu settles back into his chair, something shifts. The air thickens, the tone tilts, the purpose sharpens. His gaze lingers on that doodle, then flicks to Jay, then back again. It's not just a random sketch that's caught his eye. It's something more, a thread tugging at a memory he hasn't voiced yet. Jay, ever the pro, picks up the vibe. His grin softens. His posture straightens. "You good, man?" he asks, half joking, half curious. Keanu nods, but his fingers tap lightly on his knee, a rare sign of nerves. "Yeah," he says, voice dropping lower. "But can I tell you something I've never revealed in public?" Jay blinks, caught off guard, but he rolls with it, leaning in. "Floor's yours, Keanu. What you got?" The audience hushes, sensing the pivot. "Oh, and before we dive in, tell us where you're watching from, folks." We love seeing your reactions. What begins as a friendly interview, a warm-up for the holiday weekend, is about to crack open into something deeper. In the next few minutes, Jay Carter won't be the one asking the questions or cracking the jokes. He'll be the one trying to hold it together, his tough guy edge melting under whatever Keanu's about to unveil. The studio lights dim slightly as the crowd settles, the anticipation thick in the air, and the night feels less like a talk show and more like a crossroads neither of them saw coming. The interview kicks off with the kind of easy rhythm that the Jay Carter Show thrives on. A back and forth that feels more like a barbershop chat than a Hollywood spotlight. Jay Carter, still buzzing from the crowd's energy, keeps it casual, leaning back in his chair with that ex-basketball swagger, his voice a playful drawl. "Keanu, you're the guy who makes bus seats cooler than a private jet. What's your secret, man? You got some Zen Master handbook stashed in that jacket?" The audience chuckles, a warm ripple of amusement, and Keanu laughs softly, a sound that's more breath than bravado. "Just trying to keep it real, man," he says, his hands resting loose in his lap, his dark eyes flicking briefly to the floor, as if the attention might swallow him whole. Jay grins, shaking his head like he's just heard the punchline to an inside joke. "Keep it real," he says. "Right. You're out here giving up subway seats, tipping crew members like a baller. Meanwhile, I'm over here trying to keep my coffee from spilling on live TV." The crowd laughs again, louder this time, and Keanu offers a shy smile, his fingers tapping faintly on his knee, a quiet habit that betrays his calm. The banter flows smooth, as a fast break for a minute, Jay tossing light jabs about Keanu's motorcycle obsession. Keanu deflecting with that understated charm that's made him a fan favorite. "You ever crash one of those bikes, or you just too cool for that?" Jay asks, eyebrows raised. Keanu shrugs. "Crashed a few. Keeps you humble." The audience coos, eating up the humility like it's candy, and Jay's about to pivot to a question about John Wick when Keanu's gaze drifts back to the desk. That spiral doodle, small, tight, looping in on itself, sits there on Jay's cue card, a random scribble from the break that somehow snagged Keanu's attention again. He hesitates, his breath catching just long enough for Jay to notice. The tone shifts, subtle but undeniable, like a cloud sliding over the sun. Keanu leans forward slightly, his voice dropping lower, softer. "Hey Jay, can I ask you something off script?" Jay blinks, caught off guard. His cue cards are his playbook, and going rogue isn't his usual move. But he's a pro, and the intrigue lights up his eyes. "Go for it, Hollywood," he says, leaning in, his smirk giving way to curiosity. The audience hushes, sensing the air thicken, the patriotic buzz fading into a focused stillness. Keanu takes a slow breath, his fingers stilling on his knee, And when he speaks, it's like he's peeling back a layer no one expected to see. 5 years ago, I was in a dark place, he starts, his voice steady but weighted, each word landing like a stone in a quiet pond. I'd lost a lot. My daughter, stillborn. My partner, Jennifer, gone weeks later. My sister's leukemia. My dad walking out when I was a kid. It all piled up. The studio goes dead silent. The kind of quiet where you can hear your own heartbeat. Jay's grin fades, his hand hovering over the desk like he's forgotten what to do with it. Keanu's eyes drift to the spiral again, and he continues. I couldn't get out of bed, couldn't see a way forward. One night I was scrolling, just numb, and I found your stand-up special, Hoops and Hard Knocks. You talked about blowing your knee out, losing your shot at the NBA. You said if you're still standing, you're still in the game. That hit me. He pauses, his gaze locking on Jay. I drew this spiral in my journal that night, trying to hold on to something. Your words. They pulled me through. Jay's jaw tightens, his tough guy edge cracking as he processes it. Man, I was just venting, he says, voice rougher than usual. Didn't know you were out there listening. Keanu nods, a faint smile tugging at his lips. That's the thing. You didn't have to know. Then Jay leans back, exhaling like he's been sucker punched, and drops his own bomb. Funny thing, Keanu. 3 years ago, I almost quit this gig. Ratings tanked, I was done. Then I saw that clip. You fixing a biker's tire on the 405. Rain pouring down. No cameras, no fuss. I thought if he's still out there grinding, I can't tap out. Keanu blinks, stunned. You're kidding. Jay shakes his head, a crooked grin breaking through. Nope. You got me back in this chair, man. The audience murmurs, a ripple of awe at the collision of their stories. Two lives brushing against each other without ever knowing. Keanu reaches into his jacket, pulling out a crumpled paper, a faded spiral sketch, edges worn from years of carrying it. He hands it to Jay, who takes it like it's a relic. This got me through, Keanu says, and because of you, I started something. A motorcycle repair school for kids who've lost their way. Second Gear. Opens next month in Detroit. Jay's eyes widen, clutching the paper. You're telling me my bad knee started this? You're wild, Reeves. The crowd gasps, then laughs as Jay pivots to humor, his voice cracking with disbelief. I thought I was here to sell hot sauce, not launch schools, Keanu fires back. Well, your hot sauce kept my engine running. The laughter cuts through the weight, a breather that keeps the moment real, and Jay shakes his head, still holding the spiral like it's proof of something bigger. The mood settles, and Jay's voice softens, searching. You really believe we can still find hope in a mess like this world? Keanu nods, his eyes steady. Hope's the only thing that doesn't need a script. It's raw. It found me through you. Grainy screen, middle of the night. He leans forward, voice dropping to a near whisper. We've all got a lighthouse we haven't thanked. You were mine, Jay. Then, to the camera. Whoever's watching, call yours tonight. Tell him Keanu and Jay said hi. The audience stirs, some reaching for phones, others wiping eyes, as the spiral on the desk seems to pulse with quiet power. Jay swallows hard, his hand brushing the paper, and the stage feels less like a set and more like a crossroads under those red, white, and blue lights. The studio lights of the Jay Carter Show cast a warm glow over the stage, the red, white, and blue hues softening the edges of the set as the audience leans into the moment. Keanu Reeves sits across from Jay Carter, his posture relaxed, but his eyes carrying a quiet intensity that's starting to ripple through the room. The banter has been light so far, Jay tossing playful jabs about Keanu's Hollywood cool, Keanu deflecting with that soft-spoken humility that's won him legions of fans. But now, as the crowd's laughter from Jay's last quip fades into a comfortable hum, Keanu's gaze drifts back to the spiral doodle on Jay's cue card, that small, looping sketch from the commercial break. His fingers, which had been tapping lightly on his knee, slow to a stop. He leans in, his voice dropping low, almost conspiratorial, like he's about to share a secret he's held close for years. 5 years ago, he begins, each word deliberate. I saw your stand-up special, Hoops and Hard Knocks. You talked about blowing your knee out, losing your shot at the NBA. I was in a bad place. Couldn't get out of bed, couldn't see a way forward after losing everything. The air in the studio shifts, the patriotic buzz of July 3rd, giving way to a stillness that feels almost sacred. Jay, perched on the edge of his chair with that ex-basketball swagger, had been smirking, ready to fire off another wisecrack. But Keanu's words land like a quiet thunderclap, and the smirk falters. The audience, still primed for laughs, senses the turn, their chatter dying down to a hush. Keanu's eyes flicker to the spiral again, as if it's a tether to the memory he's unspooling. He takes a breath, steadying himself, and shares briefly, his voice a soft thread, weaving through the silence. My daughter was stillborn, he says, the words simple but heavy, like stones dropped into deep water. A few weeks later, I lost Jennifer, my partner, the closest thing I had to home. My sister fought leukemia for years. My dad walked out when I was a kid. It was years of silent grief, piling up, pressing down. He pauses, his gaze drifting off somewhere beyond the stage lights, maybe to a dark room 5 years past, where the world felt like it had caved in. Jay's hand, which had been doodling that spiral earlier, stills completely, the pen forgotten on the desk. His tough guy grin is gone, replaced by a softening in his eyes, a flicker of recognition, not of the spiral, but of the kind of pain Keanu's laying bare. The audience holds its breath, some leaning forward, others clutching hands as Keanu continues, his voice steady, but laced with a raw edge. I wasn't working, wasn't eating, just existing, barely. One night, I was scrolling through my phone, numb, looking for anything to drown out the quiet. That's when I found your special, Jay. You were on stage, talking about that injury, how it took your dream, how you had to rebuild. And then you said something that hit me like a freight train. If you're still standing, you're still in the game. He looks at Jay now, direct and unflinching, and the weight of that line hangs between them, a lifeline thrown across years and screens. I'd drawn this spiral in my journal that same night, he adds, nodding toward the doodle on Jay's card. Just trying to hold on to something, anything. Your words, they stuck. They got me up. The studio is dead quiet now, the kind of silence where you can feel the collective heartbeat of a room full of strangers. Jay's smirk is long gone, his hand hovering over the desk like he's not sure what to do with it. He clears his throat, his voice rougher than usual, almost hesitant. Man, I was just venting, he says, shaking his head as if he's trying to process it. Didn't know you were out there listening. There's a crack in his tone, a hint of disbelief that his off-the-cuff special, a raw, unpolished set he'd thrown together after his own lows, had reached someone like Keanu, let alone pulled him through a darkness that deep. Keanu nods, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Not triumphant, but grateful. That's the thing, he says, his voice softening. You didn't have to know. That's what made it real. The spiral doodle sits there between them, an accidental bridge linking two stories that never should have crossed. Jay stares at it for a beat, his fingers brushing the edge of the card, and you can see the gears turning behind his eyes. Years of cracking jokes, hosting gigs, pushing through his own scars, and here's Keanu telling him it mattered more than he ever guessed. The audience feels it too, a ripple of emotion moving through the seats, some eyes glistening under the studio lights. Keanu leans back slightly, exhaling like he's just set down a weight he's carried too long. I didn't plan to say this tonight, he admits, his tone almost sheepish. But sitting here, seeing that spiral again, it brought it all back. You were a voice in the dark, Jay, when I didn't have one. Jay's hand drops to his lap, his posture slumping just a fraction. And for a moment, he's not the slick host anymore. He's the guy who blew out his knee at 25, who thought his game was over until he found a mic. I don't even know what to say, man, he mutters, his voice thick, and the audience can feel the shift. Jay's not steering this anymore. He's along for the ride. Keanu's revelation hangs in the air, raw and unscripted, and the spiral on the desk seems to pulse with a quiet power, a symbol neither of them planned, but both now share. The patriotic trappings of the set, those red, white, and blue lights, fade into the background as the moment strips down to something human, something real, setting the stage for whatever comes next under the Los Angeles sky. The studio of The Jay Carter Show sits in a rare hush, the red, white, and blue lights casting a soft glow over the stage as Keanu Reeves' words linger in the air. He's just peeled back a layer of his soul. 5 years ago, lost in grief, saved by Jay's stand-up special Hoops and Hard Knocks, and that spiral doodle he'd drawn in a desperate moment. The audience, still reeling from the rawness of it, watches Jay Carter with bated breath. Jay's hand rests on the desk, the spiral sketch on his cue card staring up like a quiet witness to Keanu's confession. His tough guy edge, honed from years on the basketball court and sharpened by a comedian's mic, has softened, his eyes flickering with something unguarded. He lets out a low chuckle, a sound that's half disbelief, half deflection, like he's trying to shake off the weight of what Keanu's just laid at his feet. "Funny thing, Keanu," he says, pausing, as if he's weighing whether to dive in himself. The audience leans forward, sensing the shift, and Jay's voice drops, quieter now, almost conspiratorial. 3 years back, I almost quit this show. Ratings tanked, I was burned out. Then, I saw that viral clip. You helping a stranded biker on the 405, fixing his tire in the rain. No cameras, no fuss. I thought, if he can keep going, so can I. Keanu blinks, his dark eyes widening in stunned silence, like the ground just shifted beneath him. "You're kidding," he says, his voice a mix of shock and wonder, barely above a whisper. Jay shakes his head, a crooked grin breaking through the emotion threatening to spill over. "Nope," he says, leaning back in his chair, his hands splaying wide as if to underline the truth of it. "You got me back in this chair, man." The words hit the room like a second wave, the audience murmuring softly, a ripple of awe spreading through the seats. Jay's grin fades into something softer, his gaze locking on Keanu as he lets the memory unfold. "It was late, middle of the night actually. I was done, man. The network was breathing down my neck. The jokes weren't landing. My knee was acting up like it knew I'd lost my shot years ago. I was ready to walk away, pack up the mic, call it a career. Then I'm scrolling, half asleep, and there you are on my phone. Some shaky video, rain pouring down, cars zooming by on the freeway, and you're just crouched there, wrench in hand, fixing this guy's bike like it's nothing." Keanu tilts his head, his brow furrowing as he tries to place it. A moment so small to him, it barely registered, now magnified under Jay's recounting. The audience is rapt, some nodding as if they've seen the clip too. That viral snippet of Keanu's quiet kindness that lit up social media 3 years back. Jay's voice picks up, a mix of grit and gratitude. "I watched it twice, man. You didn't say a word, just got the guy back on the road and rode off. No spotlight, no press, just you in that beat-up jacket soaked to the bone. And I'm sitting there thinking, this dude's out here in a storm, still showing up for a stranger, and I'm whining about a bad season?" He laughs again, a short, broken sound that's more release than humor, and runs a hand over his face. "Next morning, I called my producer, told him I wasn't done yet. That was because of you, Keanu. You didn't even know it. The studio feels smaller now, the patriotic trappings of July 3rd fading into the background as the space between Jay and Keanu shrinks to something intimate, almost sacred. Keanu's mouth opens, then closes, like he's searching for words and coming up empty. I... I had no idea, he finally manages, his voice rough with surprise, his hands shifting in his lap as if he's still processing the collision of their lives. Jay nods, his grin softening into something rawer, more real. Yeah, well, neither did I when I was up there ranting about my knee, he says, gesturing vaguely toward the spiral on the desk. Guess we're even now, huh? The audience stirs, a few quiet gasps and whispers weaving through the seats, the realization dawning that these two men, strangers in all but name, had unknowingly pulled each other through their own dark nights. Jay leans forward, elbows on the desk, his fingers brushing the edge of the cue card where the spiral sits. I mean, think about it, he says, his tone shifting to a mix of wonder and disbelief. You're out there, lost in your stuff. Grief I can't even imagine, and my dumb special pulls you up. Then I'm here, ready to throw in the towel, and you're the one keeping me in the game. What are the odds, man? Keanu's eyes flicker to the spiral again, then back to Jay, and a faint smile tugs at his lips. Not the shy one from earlier, but something deeper, tinged with gratitude. Life's funny that way, he says, his voice steady now. You don't see the threads till they're right in front of you. The crowd's murmur grows, a swell of emotion breaking through the stillness. Some wipe their eyes, others nod like they're piecing together their own threads. Jay exhales, a long, slow breath that seems to carry years of weight, and his hand hovers over the spiral doodle like it's more than just ink now, like it's a bridge neither of them plan to cross. I've had big moments on this stage, he says, almost to himself. But this is something else. Keanu nods, his gaze steady, and the air hums with a quiet power, a dual revelation that's flipped the script on both of them. Jay's not just the host anymore. He's a man who's been seen, just as Keanu's not just a guest, but a mirror reflecting back a truth Jay didn't expect. The spiral sits there, a silent witness under the Los Angeles lights, as the moment teeters on the edge of something bigger, something neither of them can walk away from unchanged. The studio of the Jay Carter Show hums with a quiet electricity. The red, white, and blue lights casting a patriotic sheen over the stage as Keanu Reeves and Jay Carter sit locked in a moment that's already shifted the night's orbit. Keanu's just bared his soul. How Jay's Hoops and Hard Knocks special pulled him from an abyss 5 years ago, the spiral doodle a lifeline in his grief, and Jay's countered with his own revelation, how Keanu's roadside kindness kept him from quitting the show. The audience, still reeling from the dual threads of their stories, watches with bated breath. The July 3rd buzz softened into a reverent hush. Jay's hand rests on the desk, the spiral doodle on his cue card, a silent bridge between them, and Keanu's gaze lingers there for a beat, his dark eyes tracing the loops like they hold a map to something he's carried too long. Then, with a slow, deliberate motion, he reaches into the pocket of his plain jacket, his fingers brushing against the fabric before pulling out a crumpled paper, a faded spiral sketch, edges worn soft from years of quiet keeping. He unfolds it gently, the creases whispering under the studio lights, and hands it to Jay. This got me through, he says, his voice low but steady, each word a stone laid on a foundation. And because of you, I started something quiet. No press yet. A motorcycle repair school for kids who've lost their way, like I did. Opens next month in Detroit. I'm calling it Second Gear. Jay's hand freezes midair as he takes the paper, his jaw dropping, like he's just been handed a winning lottery ticket he didn't play. The spiral stares up at him, faint but unmistakable, a twin to the doodle on his card, and his eyes widen, darting from the sketch to Keanu and back again. You're telling me my bad knee started this? He says, his voice cracking with disbelief, a laugh bubbling up like he's trying to keep the moment from tipping too far into the surreal. "You're nuts, Reeves!" The audience gasps, a sharp intake of breath that ripples through the seats, then erupts into a soft swell of murmurs, some in awe, others in quiet wonder, as Jay holds the paper like it's gold, his fingers trembling just enough to betray the cool he's trying to hang on to. Keanu leans back slightly, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Not triumphant, but grounded, like he's finally let go of something heavy. "Not your knee, man," he says, his tone warm with gratitude. "Your fight. That's what did it." Jay stares at the sketch, turning it over in his hands as if it might reveal more secrets, and the studio lights catch the creases, illuminating a story that's been folded away for years. "Hold up," he says, leaning forward, his ex-basketball swagger giving way to a raw curiosity. "You're saying this little drawing kept you going, and now you've got a whole school because of it?" Keanu nods, his hands resting loose in his lap, his voice steady as he unpacks it. "That night, after I saw your special, I couldn't sleep. I just sat there, drawing that spiral, over and over, like it was the only thing keeping me tethered. Your words, if you're still standing, you're still in the game, they looped in my head, and I started thinking maybe I wasn't done. Not yet." He pauses, his gaze drifting to the audience for a moment, then back to Jay. "Took a while, years, really, but I kept coming back to that idea. If I could get up, maybe I could help others get up too. Kids who've lost parents, homes, hope. Teach them to fix bikes, give them a skill, a second shot. That's second gear, and it started with you." The crowd stirs, a wave of emotion breaking through the stillness. Some wipe their eyes, others nod like they're seeing their own second chances in Keanu's words. Jay's jaw tightens, his fingers clutching the spiral sketch, like it's more than paper now. Like it's a piece of both their stories stitched together. "Detroit, huh?" he says, his voice rough but warm, trying to anchor himself in the details. "Next month? No press? Man, you don't mess around." Keanu shrugs, that shy smile creeping back. "Didn't want the noise, just wanted it to work. Figured I'd tell you first here, since you're the reason." Jay lets out a short, broken laugh, shaking his head as he holds the paper up to the light. "Reason? Me? I was just some dude yelling about my busted knee on a stage. I didn't know I was kicking off a revolution." The audience chuckles softly, a breather in the weight of the moment, and Jay's laugh fades into a grin that's half disbelief, half pride. "Second gear," he repeats, testing the name like it's a play he's calling on the court. "That's dope, man. Kids fixing bikes, getting back in the game because of this?" He waves the sketch, and Keanu nods, his eyes steady. "Because of you," he says simply, and the words land like a quiet hammer, cracking Jay's tough guy shell just a little more. Jay leans back, exhaling a long, slow breath that seems to carry years of hustle and doubt, and stares at the spiral like it's a mirror he didn't expect to look into. "I've had folks tell me my stuff hit 'em before," he says, almost to himself. "But this is next level, Keanu. You took my mess and turned it into something real." Keanu tilts his head, his smile softening. "You gave me the spark, Jay. I just ran with it." The audience murmurs again, a swell of awe at the alchemy of it. Two men, two lows, one spiral tying their redemption together. Jay sets the paper down gently on the desk, his fingers lingering on it, and the studio feels smaller, the patriotic trappings of July 3rd fading as the moment strips down to something human, something tangible. "Next month in Detroit," he says, his voice steadying. "I'm there, man. Gotta see this thing you built." Keanu blinks, surprised, then nods. "Deal." The spiral sits there between them, a faded sketch now glowing with purpose, a legacy unveiled under the Los Angeles lights that promises to ripple far beyond this stage. The studio of The Jay Carter Show still hums with the weight of Keanu Reeves's revelations. His spiral sketch, the lifeline of Jay's Hoops and Hard Knocks, special, and the unveiling of Second Gear, a motorcycle school born from their unexpected connection. The audience, perched on the edge of their seats under the red, white, and blue lights, has been riding an emotional wave. From Keanu's grief to Jay's near exit from the show, now cresting with the tangible hope of kids in Detroit finding their way. Jay Carter, holding the faded spiral sketch like it's a playbook he didn't know he'd written, lets out a breath. His ex-basketball swagger tinged with a rare vulnerability. But then, as if flipping a switch, his comedian's instinct kicks in, and he leans back in his chair, tossing the paper onto the desk with a dramatic flair. "Man, I thought I was here to hawk toothpaste ads, not launch schools," he quips, his voice booming with mock indignation, eyebrows shooting up like he's just been told he's coaching the Lakers again. The audience bursts into laughter, a bright, rolling sound that cuts through the heavy air like a summer breeze, easing the intensity without shattering the moment's heart. Keanu blinks, caught off guard by the sudden pivot, but a grin tugs at his lips. He's game. He leans forward, his dark eyes glinting with a rare spark of mischief, and fires back. "Well, your toothpaste kept my engine running." The crowd roars again, louder this time, clapping and whooping as the line lands like a perfect alley-oop. Jay throws his head back, his laugh a deep, unguarded rumble that echoes off the studio walls, and slaps the desk with an open hand. "Toothpaste, huh? Man, I should have known you'd turn my cavities into horsepower." The audience feeds off it, their cheers bouncing around the patriotic glow of the set. And for a moment, the weight of grief and redemption lifts, replaced by a shared, buoyant lightness that feels like a 4th of July sparkler fizzing in the dark. Jay wipes a mock tear from his eye, still chuckling, and points at Keanu. "You're a wild one, Reeves," taking my busted knee and spinning it into some Detroit miracle. "What's next? You gonna fix my jump shot too?" Keanu shrugs, his shy smile widening just a touch. "Only if you teach me how to sell toothpaste." The laughter swells again, a warm wave that wraps the room, and Jay shakes his head, grinning like a kid who's just won a pickup game. The spiral sketch sits quietly on the desk, its faded loops a silent anchor beneath the humor, and the exchange, sharp, quick, and real, keeps the moment grounded, a breather that honors their bond without letting it tip into melodrama under the Los Angeles lights. The studio of The Jay Carter Show sits in a rare stillness, the red, white, and blue lights casting a patriotic glow over the stage, as Keanu Reeves and Jay Carter share a moment that's grown heavier with each revelation. The spiral doodle on Jay's cue card, a casual scribble from a commercial break, has become a thread tying Keanu's darkest night to Jay's offhand resilience, their mutual impact laid bare in a dual confession that's left the audience breathless. Second Gear, Keanu's motorcycle school for struggling kids, has just been unveiled, a tangible legacy born from Jay's words. And the toothpaste jabs have lightened the air with laughter. Now, as the crowd settles, Jay traces the spiral on the card with a finger, his ex-basketball toughness softened by a quiet awe. He looks up at Keanu, his voice low, searching, like he's peeling back the last layer of the night. "You really believe we can still find hope in a mess like this world?" he asks, the question hanging heavy under the Los Angeles lights, a July 3rd plea that echoes beyond the studio walls. Keanu nods, his dark eyes steady, unflinching, and when he speaks, his voice carries a calm certainty that cuts through the noise. "Hope's the only thing that doesn't need a script," he says, each word deliberate, raw. "It's not rehearsed, not polished. It's just there. It found me through you, Jay, on a grainy screen, middle of the night, when I didn't even know I was looking for it." The audience leans in, some nodding, as if they've felt that same unscripted spark in their own shadows. And Jay's hand pauses over the spiral, his tough guy grin replaced by a flicker of something deeper. Keanu leans forward, elbows on his knees, his tone softening, but no less potent. That night, 5 years ago, after everything fell apart, I was lost. My daughter gone, Jennifer gone, years of silence pressing down. Your special, hoops and hard knocks, wasn't loud or fancy. It was you, talking about your knee, your fight like you'd walked through fire and kept going. That spiral I drew. It was me clinging to something, and your voice was the rope. Jay exhales, a slow breath that seems to carry the weight of his own battles, and the spiral doodle, once a mindless sketch, takes on a layer of fate, a surprising trigger tying Keanu's despair to Jay's casual habit years later. I wasn't trying to be anybody's hero, Jay mutters, his voice rough, almost sheepish, but Keanu shakes his head, a faint smile breaking through. That's why it worked, he says. You weren't trying, you were just real. And that's what doubled it for me when you said you saw that biker clip. Kept you in this chair. We didn't know it, but we were pulling each other up. The audience murmurs, a swell of awe at the dual revelation, their emotional stakes intertwining like roots beneath the surface. And Jay's eyes glint with a mix of disbelief and pride. Keanu's gaze shifts, taking in the spiral. Then Jay, then the crowd under the patriotic glow of July 3rd, a night of resilience and new beginnings that feels like more than coincidence. That school, second gear, he continues. It's not just about bikes. It's about giving kids a shot like you gave me, something to hold on to when the world's a mess. That's hope, Jay. It's quiet, it's messy, but it's there. Jay nods, tracing the spiral again, and the cultural resonance of the moment deepens. Independence Day Eve, a time of American grit and renewal, mirrored in their story. The earlier humor, the toothpaste jab about Jay's ads fueling Keanu's engine, lingers as a grounding thread, keeping it fun, human, even as the weight settles. Jay quirks a grin. So, what, I'm your spark plug now? And Keanu fires back. More like the whole damn battery, drawing a soft laugh that ripples through the seats, a breather in the intensity. Then Keanu's voice drops, intimate, like he's speaking to Jay alone. We've all got a lighthouse we haven't thanked, he says, his eyes locking on Jay's. You were mine, man, standing there on that screen, not knowing you were lighting my way. Jay's hand stills, his grin fading into something raw. And the audience feels it, a universal hook tugging at their own unvoiced gratitude. Keanu turns to the camera, his shy demeanor giving way to a quiet command. Whoever's watching, if you've got one, call him tonight. Tell him Keanu and Jay said hi. The words land like a pebble in a pond, rippling outward, and the crowd stirs. Some reach for phones, others wipe eyes. A few whisper to neighbors, as if naming their own lighthouses right then. Jay leans back, his fingers brushing the spiral one last time, and mutters, Man, you're turning my show into a movement, his voice thick but warm. The studio feels alive. The spiral a silent testament to fate, their mutual impact doubling the stakes. Second gear, a forward-looking purpose born from pain. The July 3rd lights glow brighter, tying their story to American resilience, and the toothpaste quip keeps it grounded, fun, real. Keanu's call, simple, unscripted, spreads beyond the stage, a universal invitation to connect, to heal, under the Los Angeles sky where hope, raw and unpolished, shines through the mess. The studio of The Jay Carter Show pulses with a quiet, electric reverence as Keanu Reeves and Jay Carter sit in the wake of a night that spiraled far beyond a typical talk show. The red, white, and blue lights bathe the stage in a patriotic glow. July 3rd, 2025, teetering on the edge of Independence Day. And the audience, still reeling from Keanu's revelations, Jay's counterstory, and the unveiling of second gear, holds its breath. The spiral doodle on Jay's cue card, once a casual scribble, has become a symbol of fate, resilience, and hope. its faded twin now resting on the desk, after Keanu's gift of it to Jay. The crowd's applause from his "Call Your Lighthouse" plea still echoes, a swell of emotion that's left some dialing phones, others wiping tears. But Keanu, ever the quiet force, isn't done. Mid-applause he stands, his dark jeans and plain jacket cutting a humble silhouette against the festive set. He steps off stage, the clapping faltering into gasps as he walks straight to a teenage audience member in the third row. A kid in a worn jacket, scuffed sneakers, eyes wide with disbelief. Keanu kneels, holding out the crumpled spiral paper. "Keep this," he says, voice soft but firm. "Start your own gear." The kid's hands tremble as he takes it, his eyes widening like he's just been handed a key to a new world. And the crowd erupts, gasps, turning to cheers. A tidal wave of awe that shakes the rafters. Jay Carter, still at the desk, watches with his jaw slack, the spiral's departure hitting him like a fast break he didn't see coming. He stands, his ex-basketball frame towering over the set, and his voice cracks as he steps toward Keanu, who's climbing back on stage. "I've had big nights here," Jay says. The words rough, breaking like glass under pressure. "Emmys, sold-out crowds, standing ovations, but this is why I'm still in the game." Why? The audience rises. A slow, reverent wave, and Jay closes the gap, pulling Keanu into a hug. Not the polished host-to-guest kind, but man-to-man. A grip that says more than words ever could. Keanu returns it, his shy smile buried in Jay's shoulder, and the crowd roars, some crying openly now, others clapping with a fervor that feels like a 4th of July salute. The studio window behind them frames the LA skyline, and as if on cue, fireworks burst outside, bright streaks of red, white, and blue painting the night, linking their personal renewal to a national celebration. Jay steps back, wiping his eyes with a grin, and turns to the audience. "Happy 4th, America! Keep your lighthouses lit," he says, his voice steadying into that warm, comedian's drawl. And the show fades out as the crowd stands, some dialing phones, others whispering to neighbors, the spiral handoff of visual memory burned into their minds. The moment lingers, a crescendo of lessons unfolding under the fading lights. There's the lesson of resilience. Keanu, broken by loss, finding a spark in Jay's grit. Jay, burned out, reignited by Keanu's quiet kindness. It's a reminder that hope doesn't shout. It whispers, unscripted, through grainy screens or roadside rain, finding you when you least expect it. The spiral, handed to that teen, teaches ripple effects. How one small act, one doodle, can spiral outward, touching lives beyond the horizon. Second gear shows purpose, born from pain, a legacy that doesn't just heal the giver, but lifts others too. And July 3rd, with its fireworks, ties it to an American truth. Renewal isn't just national. It's personal, a daily choice to stand, to fight, to give. Jay's hug, Keanu's gift, their gratitude in motion, a thank you to the lighthouses we don't always see until they're gone. Keanu's call to call your lighthouse isn't just a line. It's a challenge, a bridge from this stage to every living room watching. It's a lesson in connection. We're all threads in a web, often saving each other without knowing. Jay's crack about toothpaste, Keanu's quip about engines. They teach us to laugh through the wait, to find joy even when the game feels rigged. The teen with the spiral paper. He's the future, proof that hope isn't static. It moves, it grows, it hands off to the next player. And the fireworks? They're a cultural tie, amplifying the stakes, personal redemption echoing a nation's spirit, a reminder that freedom includes the right to start again, to build something like second gear from the ashes. So here's the gratitude. Thank you, Keanu, for bearing your soul. Showing us softness isn't weakness. Thank you, Jay, for staying in the chair, for turning scars into sparks. Thank you to the kid in the worn jacket for reminding us Hope has hands to pass it on. And to you watching, if this hit your heart, leave a like, drop a comment with your own lighthouse story, hit that subscribe button. Let's keep this spiral spinning, this light burning, because nights like this don't just happen on TV. They happen in us. As the fireworks fade over LA, the lessons settle. We're all in the game, all lighthouses waiting to shine, all capable of a second gear. Call someone tonight, tell him Keanu and Jay said hi, and let's keep the hope alive, one unscripted moment at a time.